I'm Presh Williams, and welcome to the Big Picture Film Club as part of our screening of the documentary Pauline Black, A Two-Tone Story. I'm joined with the director, Jane Mingay, and music legend herself, Pauline Black. How are you both doing?
Fine. Yeah.
Great.
I mean, just really happy to be here and doing this and sort of telling the story behind the film.
Yeah.
The first question I had is, how did the documentary come together? What had to happen for it to come together?
I read Pauline's biography, Black by Design, a two-tone memoir, and I was just struck by what an incredible story it was. And I got on board Nikki Parrott, the producer, and we discussed how we'd really like to get in contact with Pauline. And we did, and we ended up meeting in Birmingham, news station.
We met in a cafe, just a drafty old cafe. I mean, there was nobody around, was there? It was all empty. There was just us sitting in there, pretty much. And over coffee, I don't know what it was about these two women, but it was just, we kind of instantly clicked. I certainly instantly clicked with Jane and warmed to Nikki over time. But I mean, that's the lot of producers, isn't it? So it was very important, I felt anyway, that I got along well with the director, because it's your story. You've got to trust the person who's going to be doing it, who you're going to be working most closely with. And we just started talking, didn't we? Yeah. And from that, the next thing we were doing was we batted backwards and forwards a few ideas. And then there was round my house. I don't think that was the very first thing, but this camera crew came to a gig and wanted to interview us. So it was like, oh, okay. Yeah. So, and everything was like that. It was like, oh, you want us to do that? Oh, okay, we can do that. So, and then we got a film.
Yeah, and Pauline was very gracious and really let us go into her world with her band backstage, and then at her home with her husband and her dog, and we spent time together, and it was a really special relationship from the beginning, and it was a lovely collaboration, which is what it was definitely a collaboration.
Yes, yeah,
because we wrote it together. So yeah, it was amazing.
And Pauline, how do you feel? I guess sort of seeing your life story in this format. Does it feel sort of? Was the process cathartic somewhat?
No, everyone asked me if it was cathartic. I think if anything was cathartic, it was writing the book, because obviously I did that over quite a long period of time, and then you're going through all the editing and things, and that seems much more personal, because that's purely down to you, pretty much, how a book turns out. A film, I didn't understand anything really about filming other than doing 3-minute videos with a band, and that was arduous enough, let alone making a film. And I was absolutely astonished by the end. I thought, this film's 92 minutes long. This is when I got the final kind of, we were editing. I thought, how did we manage to get that much stuff? Because Jane made it feel as though it wasn't work. And I think that if you're involved in something and it doesn't feel as though it's work, it probably was for her, poor thing. I mean, you're probably up tearing your hair out probably some nights or whatever. But it was really joyous, yeah.
It was really, and it was very natural, and it was very organic, and it really was a journey as well, because I was getting to know you as we went along, as I heard your story. So yeah, it was a very special experience, I think. Yeah, it was really great.
And also you get to hear other people talking about you, and I was a bit dubious about that, but I actually found that much more interesting than anything else, what people actually have to say about you and your work, not oneself, ostensibly, but about the work that you do. And I think I've actually found out what I've been doing for the past 45 years by making this film, because other people have told me what I was doing. I was just doing it. When you're in the middle of it, you don't know what you're doing, do you? So that's what I got out of it the most.
Yeah, I think Pauline had that experience that everyone has, as she says, that, she experiences things, but it doesn't feel like, when you're, looking at it from, today and you look backwards, it feels very different, and you see things happen and you don't realise they were happening like that. I think it's very confusing, when you're young as well. And then so we could look at it in that way, and you're, oh God, actually, yeah, that was because of that. And so for you, it was, you know, it was an interesting thing to go back and visit.
Absolutely. I mean, I've never had a chance really to analyse my life in the way I've made my own analysis, because we all do that, don't we? Self-analysis kind of thing. But I've never actually analyse what I've done. It's just been, right, you need to make some money and you like doing this, so you just do that, and then that leads to that, and then that leads to that, so you cover a lot of bases, and then you think, oh God, you know, am I a Jill of all trades kind of thing, or am I is this but when I look at it now, there is a through path to it, and I'm really grateful for what some of the people in it had to say. Really grateful, even if I didn't like what I heard. You know, because some of it is a bit like, well, she was a bit like this, or she was a bit like that and stuff. But it was all informative, and it was really good. And I thank everybody, you know, who was involved in that. And Jane for asking them. You know, that was all down to Jane, who she chose to be the talking head.
Yeah, but to be honest, you know, they all agreed, because
that's good.
You know, everyone has a lot of respect for you because of your, you know, amazing career and personality, and so it really wasn't hard. I was really lucky. But I think also, you know, your life has very much followed, you know, the politics of our era. You know, all the different eras. It's very much a sort of like mirroring things that, you know, were going on, were affecting your life, and attitudes, and how, you know, they shaped your experience and the way people were treating you, on a personal level or within the music business. So I think it is hard for you to have analysed it at the time, because you were very much reacting to the time. And often the time was quite conflictual for you because of, you know, because of being black, because of being a woman, because of being adopted, all those things. So yeah, I think it is very much, it's quite a natural thing that you wouldn't know what was happening at the time.
Because Jane, you make it very clear. There is a through line to that, juxtaposed against what was happening, if you like, in the real world. Not the world you would have liked it to have been, but the real world. And I think that's what makes the film interesting. Otherwise, I mean, you know, you get films made and they're a bit of a puff piece about the person, and they go, oh, you know, aren't they great? And someone says, oh, they're great. And so I didn't want any of that. I just wanted to, I knew the things that had caused me problems during my life, and I pretty much figured that if there were other black women around in a similar kind of situation, they would have discovered that. And certainly for all the Q&As and things that we've done together, there's always one mixed race woman who's in there, and sometimes they're in tears at the end of it, but they always say, I thought I was the only one and no one's ever told my story. And which I find extraordinary, considering we're in 2025. But it's just not a story that gets told. Not a story that gets told.
And also, I think, like, the concept of othering and the way that you were treated within British society is quite a modern perspective, you know. So people didn't didn't see, but it was just sort of accepted at the time.
Well, yeah, it was put up or shut up, you know, and mostly, you know, through whatever way, because you're trying to make a way with your own life. You tended to shut up because you know that if you really railed too much, that, well, there's always a queue. And you just go to the back of that one. So you better just fight on through this, or whatever, you know, ails you now.
But you did always trailblaze, you always fought. And that's what's amazing about you. And you did it instinctively as well.
Well, that's because I never went to any of these training schools where they're supposed to teach you how to do things. It's like someone said, do you want to do it? No, I can do that, yeah. You know, it was all can do, really. Sort of more Bob the Builder than anything.
No. But you're so fearless. And you know, I think that comes through in the film, your courage. And I think that's really, really inspirational to people. Do you feel like you're courageous?
No, not at all. No, I mean, I can see why people might have that as a takeaway or whatever, but I didn't feel very courageous at the time, if you know what I mean. I mean, I don't think it matters what colour you are as a woman. You're always within this business. I mean, it is very male-centric in the music business, well, in, you know, filmmaking business, probably, all of those kinds of things. It's very male-centric, and you always feel as though that you're not apologising for the space that you're taking up, but there is a tendency among womanhood to to not take up too much space. Otherwise you're asked to leave the room.
But I mean, it's even more amazing because of your upbringing, because of when you were young and the way that your mother treated you and your family and your experience of being, you know, the only black child in a, you know, white upbringing and being brought up as you said, they're trying to bring you up as a white child, to then have the courage to go on stage and just kind of really talk about things, push the agenda, you know, I think it's just an amazing, just a really special thing, you know. Because I mean, just to, like, were there ever moments where you thought, I don't want to do this, I can't handle it, or it just was like...
No, I've always enjoyed everything pretty much that I've ever done. I was always very grateful for whatever opportunities that I was given. I mean, I was lucky with the people I met as well, in terms of, particularly in acting, just to meet certain directors who were, you know, interested in some other experience of people, and were also very physical. I think that's the thing. I mean, it's sort of, even with the music, and particularly in the Selector, I think we brought a certain physicality to everything that wasn't the norm at the time. You know, it was a lot more kind of shoegazing, and I've got long hair and I'm going to play like this. So, you know, and then we just kind of burst on the scene and kind of, we were all over the place on, you know, all the two-tone bands were like that, but we were particularly like that. And I don't think anybody had ever really seen a black woman do that before. You know, mostly, you know, black ladies at that time were looking pretty cool in spandex pants and things like this, you know, and it was all a bit chic, and which was lovely, but I just didn't think that was for me.
I mean, I remember that when I was, you know, young and seeing you on TV, just seeing you doing that, it was really special for me, because, you know, as a woman, you're brought up in a certain way, and you're told you have to behave, you have to wear certain things. And I never felt like I fitted in either, or I could do that. And just to see you there, it meant a lot. And I know it did for a lot of people. And I think that's why the film resonates so much with a lot of people as well. Because it was like, you can do that, you can be this, you can do, you know, there's no rules, you make it up as you go along.
Oh, it was definitely that. It was definitely that, you know. I mean, there was no blueprint for what we did, even in terms of music, because Two-Tone was like mixing up so many different kinds of music and mixing up different cultures within the band. I mean, we weren't the first to do it. The Equals were the first to do it. But we brought another element to it, which was a whole physicality that I feel that people hadn't really seen. And that, for me, that physicality has been there throughout anything I've ever done. Sometimes just too much damned energy.
But I think that's what makes Two-Tone so incredible, and also so special to the UK actually as well. It's just that melting pot and that thing through the, you know, colonialisation, through the Windrush generation, all these things could come together and just make this incredible, just really powerful imagery and music. It's really, really
we were
amazing.
Multicultural before anyone knew there was a multicultural to be had.
What is the difference, or is there a difference, between Pauline Black and Pauline Vickers?
Oh, yes. I mean, there's a difference. But, I mean, it's like all of us, isn't it? I mean, somewhere there are hideous school shots of us tucked away with little afros maybe, or, you know, pigtails, or, you know, whatever, that you don't necessarily want anyone to see. I mean, there's a picture of me as a schoolgirl in there. I mean, I'll hate you forever for putting that in.
I really like this picture, by the way. I think she looks absolutely so cute. I know she doesn't like that one.
No, I really didn't like it, but I thought, you know, she has a vision. She can go with it.
She was kind enough to let me keep it in.
I'm just going to let you go with that one, kind of thing. You know, it's there and it's gone. You can get too kind of upset about these things. But we've all got different facets of our personality. And, you know, I went from music to acting. So, I mean, I could expand the number of personalities that I felt like occupying. And that's what I love about everything, really. It's kind of... you know, different times rubbing up against each other, and sort of, personalities rubbing up against each other, and it's not confined by time as such. I'm that person, but I'm this person, and I might be another person in another 10 years if I'm still here. But they're all the same person. And you can explore that whole kind of, panoply. That sounds such a big word, doesn't it? But, that whole kind of experience. And I really feel as though I've lived. And, I'd be happy. If I pop my clogs tomorrow,
No.
I would be happy. Well, I mean, it's like, Gaps Hendrickson. I mean, my other sort of, musical partner within the band, when we started filming, he was not ill. And by the time the film came out, he had passed on to wherever Gaps has passed on to. And it suddenly brought it home to me, the kind of the fleetingness of what we have now at the ages that we're at, and I couldn't have found anybody better to have shared that journey with, because that was a journey, and I think it's quite shocking to some people when they watch the film, because we were very close within what we did, but you just very sensitively captured everything about Gaps and just made that seem right.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was, we started filming, he was well. And then, I didn't know everything, but I knew he had some health issues, but he just wanted to be part of it. The selector was so important to him, your relationship. He just loved you and respected you so much. And together you were, really powerful.
Vice versa.
Musical partnership, and it was really special to see you guys together. And it's amazing that it happened as we were filming,
Yes.
But I'm just so glad that we managed to capture that.
That and the whole way that it was dealt with. I just think that whole kind of, from the discovery within my life to sort of what then happened and the way is perfect. It's perfect. That is a perfect arc of somebody's life, and it's,
absolutely.
and that wasn't in the book.
No, it wasn't. And the other thing I just wanted to say about the transformative thing of Pauline is that was really what attracted me as well. It's that thing of from her upbringing, and then to becoming from like a hippie to going to be, two-tone into two-tone and being a rude girl. I just love the transformation, and then into acting. And I just think that just added so many layers. And, with a performer, with an artist, that's a really fascinating part of my work, to sort of look at that and how people can have so many different identities. And this film was very much about Pauline's identity, because it, her, as an adopted child, identity was already, slightly compromised. You didn't know who you were. And then it's a journey that you go through in life. And then that, as well as you're being a performer, an artist, it was a really interesting thing to explore within the film. And as part of your character as well. And you are like that. You're so, you're so many different things as well. And I just think that's really, really brilliant.
Well, Jane and Pauline, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Krish.
Welcome to the Big Picture Film Club, and thank you very much for sharing your story.
Oh, thank you for everything you've done for the film.
Yes, thank you very much.
That's right.
Thank you.